Good morning, good evening, everyone. I apologize for that. Good evening, everyone, and I welcome you especially to this webinar, Raising an Emotionally Intelligent Child. Okay, somebody said, I can't hear anything. I believe it was when I wasn't talking. You should hear me now loud and clear. Kindly confirm that if you can hear me loud and clear. Kindly confirm if you can hear me loud and clear. If you can hear me, please write in the chat box that you can hear me. Beautiful, loud and clear, ma. Beautiful, loud and clear, ma. I can hear you now. Good job, good job. Thanks so much. Thank you so much. So I welcome you once again to this class, Raising an Emotionally Intelligent Child. By the way, my name is Oluyemisi Davis, popularly known as Mrs. Davis, the children's nurturer. I am the founder of the Nurtured Mind Hub. This is a hub that is meant for children, actually. We train children to thrive in the skills. We train children to thrive in the skills that are required in the 21st century. I welcome you all. In the next 1 hour, we will be talking about how we can raise emotionally intelligent children. How we can raise emotionally intelligent children. Very quickly, I'd like us to look at this food for thought. Imagine you are looking into a mirror, and instead of seeing yourself, instead of seeing your reflection, you see your child mirroring your expressions. Those things you do, you see your child doing them. You see your child using your tone, those ways you talk, when you are angry, when you are sad, when you are frustrated. You see it right in the mirror. You see all sorts of your reactions, even when you are happy. You see all of them. You see every sign of frustration, every moment of joy, every unspoken fear. You see everything reflected back to you. Now ask yourself, if my child grows up to become an adult who handles emotions exactly the way I do, would I be proud? Or would I wish that I have taught them differently? Now, your ability to understand that there is a transferable power. There is a transferable power in how you handle your emotion today will save your life. So in this webinar tonight, I will be uncovering how emotions handling makes or mar the children entrusted in your care. So whether you are a teacher or you are a parent or you are just an adult that children find expressions around, you are welcome tonight. Do you know that emotions are legacies? Yeah, we're talking about the legacy of emotions now. Emotions are legacies which are passed on by parents to their children. So many of us battle with our emotion control today because our parents were not intentional about shaping us for the world today. It is because our parents were not intentional for programming us for a time like this. Even though it is not an intentional act by our parents. They didn't do it because they do not love us. We all know that ignorance does not take away consequences of things. They were just ignorant. And this ignorance does not take away the consequences of things. The fact that they do not know better does not automatically makes the consequences of them not knowing better to surface. Today, we are all the scorecard of this ignorance. I want you to know that in parenting, there is no void. Oh, yes. There is no void. Every void that you leave, every gap that you leave will be filled up. So when the gap of your emotional regulation is left, it is filled up. Whether intentionally or unintentionally, it will be filled up. I know that a lot of us by now will be arguing in their mind. How would she say that it is our parent that did not teach us how to manage our emotions? Did our parents now teach us not to manage it? Someone asks me sometimes and say, yes, she agrees that they didn't teach her about emotional regulation, but they did also teach her how not to regulate her emotions. So how come she is not able to manage her emotions in a healthy way? Because nobody also taught her not to manage it in the healthy way. Nobody also taught her to be sad. Nobody taught her how to be angry. Nobody taught her how to be this. She is saying that it is natural to be that. I said, no, it is not natural. It is not natural. Yes, it is true that our parents never sat us down and tell us, whenever you are angry, you should yell. Our parents never tell us, whenever you are angry, you should slam the door. Yes, our parents never taught us that whenever we are frustrated, we should give up. Yes, they did not tell us that. And if you're also on this table, no problem. I am about to help you unravel a mystery. Imagine this. A child spills water on the floor. Then you get agitated. You yell. You shout on the child. You even start explaining how tedious, how busy your day has been, and how your child kept making life difficult for you. She just poured food. Now she's pouring water. The other time she broke glass just in a day. Is it only you? Do you want to kill me? Why are you frustrating me? These are the words that we say to the child. A child breaks a glass. You get mad, and you even start telling the child how expensive the glass is. Your child takes a glass plate, a ceramic plate, and they drop it on the floor, and it gets shattered. You become agitated. You become angry. You shout on them. In fact, you tell them, you even punish them for making those mistakes. How many of us can relate with this? How many of us can relate with it? Yes, I know we can, because most times we are really truly tired. And then it is that time we are tired, the child is pouring water. The same child is even running on that water. And we are like, what is this? Is this what parenting is all about? We like him shouting from morning till evening. This happens, right? Now, I want you to just think backward to when you were a child. Think backward to when you were a child. Do you remember similar trend from those who raised you? You break something and there was this noise on it. You make a mistake, there was this noise on it. You misplace your water bottle. You just do something that a child can do, and they just end up yelling at you, shouting at you. I want you to think: did this happen to you as a child? If that happens to you as a child, that is it. That is how you were taught. That is how you were taught. And that is your inheritance. That is what you have inherited from those that raised you. Teachings don't need to involve a whiteboard and a marker. In fact, it doesn't have anything to do with what we tell our children. In fact, always remember that children don't even listen to what you say. They listen to what you do. They don't listen to what you say. They listen to what you do. So that teaching, that argument that you had at the introduction of this class, that there was no time that your parents also taught you to be angry in a certain way, and this is it. This was the time they taught you. Those times that they shout on you. Those times that you were yelled at even the smallest thing in the house. Those times that it was because they were already busy, or they were already tired, and you just did one small thing, and the next thing you hear, it was a bam on your back. Those times. Those were the time that the program. Those are the times that the programming was done right there in your mind. And that has become your inheritance. These experiences have shaped and wired our brain to normalize these characteristics. We have internalized them and even normalized them so much that they have become normal. That is why you will be in somebody's house and their children probably were playing, and the next thing is you shouting on the children. Why are you people playing that way? Why are you doing this? On the children. You think it is normal. You see their mom not even saying anything. You feel that the mom is spoiling them. You even go ahead and talk about her, the way you are training these children. That's not because that was not the way they trained you. They trained you for this time. If you train your children for this time, you will fail, because this is not the time. This is not the future of your child. You have to train your children for the future, for their own reality, not that of yours. It has become normal for us to yell, for us to express frustration in anger and super unhealthy way. We throw tantrums. We used to think, a lot of people say it's only children that throw tantrums. It is not true. Adults throw tantrums. We throw tantrums and we complain when we see our children throwing tantrums. Who taught them? Who taught them? You did. You did. Now, there is a science of emotional struggles. There is a science that explains why your own emotional struggles is also becoming your child's own. The same way your parents' own has become yours today. A lot of people think that it is only material things that are inherited. I tell you that it is not only material things that are inherited. In fact, emotions has a higher place in the place of inheritance that parents pass to their children. This doesn't even need to go through a will. Nobody fights for it after the parent dismissal. In fact, the children start living this inheritance even while you are alive. You pass them to every child that you nurture. You pass it. I have said earlier that those who raised us might have made this mistake because of ignorance. But the truth is, our inability to unlearn and relearn isn't ignorance. A lot of people cannot even sit down and learn what we're doing here. And that is not ignorance. It is because they were delusional. We are delusional of knowledge. We think, we believe that we know what we didn't know. You see people saying, we don't not be teaching us parenting, the same parenting that our parents did. So somebody will now start teaching me now how to parent your child. You are delusioned of knowledge. You are delusioned. If you think that you turn out okay, you are delusioned. It is not true. The fact that you make 6 figures, the fact that you can afford to cater for your family, you have a job, does not make you normal. Why would you yell on a child? Is that normal to you? Why do you need to shout? Is that normal to you? You are not normal. Stop projecting that. Start learning, because you can actually be normal. Stop projecting that. Start learning. Start learning. If you learn, you will save your children. Let's take, for example, Moses in the Bible. I want to believe most of us would have heard who Moses is, right? Most of us would have heard about the story of Moses in the Bible. Moses was raised in the palace of Pharaoh. But by who? Remember when the princess took him from the riverbank to the palace? Then the mother, as disguised as a maid, as a help to help train Moses, because of the emotional deregulation of the Israelites. The inheritance which is in the mother was transferred to even Moses. Look at the great things that Moses did. But what happened at last? Moses struck the rod on a rock, and that ends. Was he able to enter the promised land? Why didn't he? Emotional inheritance. Emotional inheritance. This is what he has inherited. He has inherited an unhealthy emotional response. And that was what denied him of that access. And that was what denied him of that access to that promised land. Do you think it's easy for somebody to lead 3 million people? I'm not saying 3,000, I'm not saying 3. So sorry about that. So sorry about that. It was my network that took me out. So sorry about that. And I am back now. I want to believe everyone can hear me. Yeah. Please kindly confirm in the chat box if you can hear me now, please. If you can hear me, please confirm in the chat box that you can hear me now. Am I being heard? Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I was talking about the story of Moses and how his lack of that emotional inheritance. If you read the Bible very well, you will see that it is in the Israelites. And it is you remember that it was his mother that actually trained him, even right there in Pharaoh's house. So this emotional inheritance was transferred to him. And as great as he is, the emotional inheritance which was transferred to him was the hindrance of him entering the promised land. The Israelites had complained about water. And what did he do instead? He struck. He struck. He struck the rock in anger. In anger. So you can see that when I say that it is programming by our parents, and probably, it is not even probably, they actually didn't do this intentionally. But their ignorance will never stop the consequences. Jochebed is a great woman who placed her son in that place of impact. In fact, that is another story for another day. She's the one that helped Moses realize his destiny. Moses would have been killed like any other male child. But this woman gave birth to the child and says, this one will not be killed. That this one's neck will not go through Pharaoh's spear. And what did she do? She prepared the boy. But emotions he wasn't trained on that. So in anger, he lost his chance. So what I am saying now is that you can as well mean well for your child. You can even strategize, position, intentionally parent, do everything for your child. But if your child lacks the ability to control their emotion, it can mar them. That only thing can cost them. It can cost them. So when I say we are delusion of knowledge, you can now see what I mean. Because we said we are okay, yet we do all of these things. We said we're okay, we're raising children who cannot manage their emotions. In this class today, I am going to challenge so many things that you think you know. I am going to make you think. I am going to make you question. You can even fight facts. But trust me, by the time we are done, you will be okay. Number one thing I will be speaking about here, let us talk first of all, look at what is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is our ability to recognize our feelings and that of others. Without the skill of emotional intelligence, your actions and reactions will always come from a place of fear. From a place of fear. A lot of us would say, I am emotionally intelligent because we have learned how to suppress our emotions. Suppressing your emotions does not make you intelligent, but what it does rather is that it makes you immature. When you ignore this fact, you will end up raising children that are not able to show empathy, because they too will learn how to suppress emotion. They won't care about what others feel. Even their own feelings, they won't care about it. And if you go on the other way, that is the other end of expressing your emotion in an unhealthy way, you will end up raising children that will be afraid. They are going to have fear. You are going to raise children that will have fear. Fear cripples potentials. It limits you and whatever emotional intelligence that you would have built up. Fear isn't natural. In fact, the only natural fear that children comes with is the fear of loud voices and of falling. Every other fear is learned. Every other fear is learned. Children are not born afraid. That is why a 2-year-old will say to your face, "Why are you looking at me that way?" They will tell you no. Yes, to your face. They are not afraid. I remember an evening, my husband is just coming in from work, and we all greeted him warmly. "Welcome, welcome, welcome." All the children in the house, they greeted. But my 3-year-old, then, she's now 5. My 3-year-old then says, she didn't greet, and the father noticed that she didn't greet. So the father went to her and greeted her. And we were all expecting her to respond, but she didn't respond. Then someone said, "Krista, Daddy is greeting you." She said, "No, I won't greet Daddy because my mouth is paining me. I won't greet him." You won't greet Daddy because your mouth is paining you. 10 words, just to say 2 words, "Welcome, Daddy." But she said it and she left. She's not afraid. She is not afraid. There is no fear. Every other person, the grown-ups that were there were like looking like, "Let's see what Daddy will do." Because they feel that she's supposed to be afraid. You are not supposed to talk to Daddy in that manner. You are not supposed to say you will not greet Daddy. Fear is not natural to children. We are the one that program fear in them. We did this programming because we are also afraid. We have been programmed by our parents to parent from the place of fear. For this thing that my 3-year-old did then, I'm sure that some people would have said, "Hey, what is this girl turning to? She will grow up and become rude. One day she will start slapping adults. One day her father will just sit and she will just cross his leg and go. One day you will be sitting in the parlor, she will just pass you." You will start thinking about one day, the fear. You start growing it in your mind. All of this happens within a split of a second. Before you know it, you will pounce on the child. You start to correct the child immediately in that anger, in that fuse. You start shouting. Why won't you? And you must greet your daddy. Open that your mouth. If the child still says no, we will force the child. You must open your mouth. We bring out cane. We will beat her. You must greet daddy until that child says, "Welcome, Daddy." We will not leave the child. Assuming people are even there, it will be worse. We will say, "Hey, this guy wants to embarrass me. Imagine me, a whole child coach. Oh, my daughter is saying this. What will people say outside?" Then all this my own thinking that happens somewhere in my brain, I will bring it up on my child. They start saying all sorts of words to her. I will force her to greet, right? I will punish her so that she can realize that that behavior is not allowed in our home. That is what we will do, right? But has that taught her a lesson? We will say, "Please do it. Make sure it's pain my daughter. Hey, my child did something. I'm so pained now. What can I do to make sure it's pained her?" Is it about it paining your child or about you training your child? 2 different things. What am I going to gain when it's pain her? But I think I will gain so much if I train her. And training cannot be done in chaos. Training cannot be done in chaos. Why do we get agitated when our children say no to us? They say no to us, we are agitated, we start shouting, how dare you say no to me? I am your father. The moment you have to tell your child that you are their father, you are their mother, you have lost it. You have lost it because obviously your children know that you are their parent. So the moment it needs to come from your mouth that I am your father in this house. Really? I didn't know. I didn't know. Thank you for telling me now that you are my father. You are my mother. You have lost it already. You have lost it already. When we don't allow our children to say no, we extend this same not saying no to other adults, because to them, to you, children are not to say no to adults. We have ripped them off their safety armor and exposed them to predators who will abuse and molest them. You should by now understand how you teach your children in parenting. When they cannot say no to you, they cannot say no to that person that wants to abuse them. You know, they can't. Because they must have practiced and get used to saying no, following their values system. And that starts with you at home. If you project adults as people that you cannot, they're powerful than you cannot tell them no, you cannot do this, that is what will happen. And that is why they are being abused. And when this happens again, you still come back. When the children become this victim of abuse, we still come back again and blame the children. Why? Why do we do all this? So before I veer off our discussion of the day, let's go back to fear. We said fear cripples potentials. It limits you and what emotional intelligence is. And I think I have defined emotional intelligence the other time. Now, without the skill of emotional intelligence, your actions and reactions will always come from a place of fear. I cited an example earlier, and I will cite another one to drive this one. Your child came home and you asked her questions, but she lied to you. In a split of a second, your mind will start processing a million things. Oh, this child just lied. Very soon, she will start stealing. She will become armed robber. She will cheat in school. Hey, this girl, she will let them embarrass me. She will embarrass me in the public. She is going to be a disgrace. She will bring shame to the family. Very soon, she will start saying, she will start carrying gun. They will catch her. She will end up in, and you know, these things are just happening in your brain. You are not saying them out. Before you know it, boom, you will react. And you know, your reaction will now be in form of nagging, yelling, shouting on your child. Because it is now or now. That child will stop lying now or now. Your reactivity, sorry, something just entered my eyes. Your reactivity is no longer on your child. It is on what you think. It is on what you are thinking. It is now on your thought process. You are no longer reacting in a way to shape this child. This child that is lying, where is that coming from? What can I do to help this child? It's not coming from that place. Your reactivity now, your reactivity now is coming from the place of this child we end up in the prison. And that is what, so that's your nagging, you're shouting. That is why you are doing that. You are not thinking of how you can fix that thing that is making the child lie. Your reactivity is on your thought process. And this is coming from the kingdom of fear. However, should you process this with the right emotion, you will first seek to understand why your child is lying. What can you put in place to help your child? Where is the gap that needed to be filled? Then again, those consequences you were afraid of. What am I even afraid of that is making me nag this way? Where are they coming from? They are coming from the fear of my own parents. The way they have had their own fear and used the fear to shout on me. I am also having that fear now. I'm using that to shout on my child. Why are you afraid? Because that is what the problem is really. What is the reason behind my fear? I said earlier that fear was learned, right? Your experiences, your upbringing, and your environment programmed every fear in you. We have fear of rejection, fear of belonging, fear of the unknown. Name them. They are all learned. So a child took a glass cup, pour water in it, and run to the sitting room, and you start shouting, "Hey, hey!" You are thinking about how much you bought the glass cup. That's what you are thinking about. How much you bought the glass cup. Should that glass cup break, what will happen? What you do in such scenario is that you are programming fear. You're programming fear in your child. What is glass cup doing in your house if you have toddlers? What is it doing in your house if you have toddlers? Okay, your guests need to drink water with glass cup. Is your house meant to entertain guests or to raise children? Which one are you prioritizing? If you must have glass cup to serve visitors, what is it doing in a place where your child hand can reach easily? What is it doing there? We use all these things that are not relevant to mar our children. We use them to program fear in them. So if you do not become free, you cannot free your child. This, guys, is how you can teach your children emotional intelligence. But you cannot teach what you don't know. If you do not deal with yourself first, you cannot deal with your child. Fear of rejection is there. Fear of public speaking. Is that how you were programmed? Think of it. Think of it. What are you programmed as? So before you can start programming your child, your emotional intelligence must first be dealt with. Reparenting yourself is where you need to start from, because how do you take someone to a place that you have never been? You want your child to be excellent, but you are not excellent. How do you take a child to a place you have not been, a place you have not even visualized? So many of us suffer from weak resilience. We don't want to fail. So we have become comfortable with mediocrity. We don't want to fail. We have settled when we should be impacting. Why is it so? Fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown. If I do this thing now, you start calculating things, start thinking plenty things in your mind. Fear. You are not able to step out of mediocrity. Fear. Fear of the unknown. Your children watch you as you take back seats in places. You do this because you are afraid of rejection. Yeah. Our children internalize this. And when they get to school, they become artificially silent. They ask them to talk. They speak to themselves. They are not talking out. They may not be afraid per se of speaking. They may just be afraid of the fear of rejection. What if this thing I'm going to say now, I'm going to make a mistake? Because they have seen you live it as a parent. They've seen mommy is always afraid of rejection. Yes, you didn't say you're afraid of rejection, but they've seen it. They've seen it. Parenting teachings are lived. They are in your living, what you do daily. Your children are internalizing them. They ask your child to come up stage and talk. They cannot talk. They cannot talk. They are afraid. They are afraid of rejection. They don't want to make mistakes. And emotional intelligence or dysregulation is an inheritance that parents pass on to their children. Please, if you don't take anything away from this guy, take this one down, write it somewhere. Because the child who refuses to pass a healthy emotional control, that you refuse to pass an healthy emotional control to, cannot manage even well. It is going to weary you. It is going to give you problems. If you cannot teach your children to manage their emotion, they cannot even manage your wealth if you pass your wealth to them. They cannot. They cannot. Because words in itself is a function of emotional intelligence. Yoruba people will say, ọmọ tí a bá kọ́, ọmọ tí a ò bá kọ́ ni ó máa gbé ilé ta kọ́ta. Hey, if you are not a Yoruba, why now? Your child needs emotional intelligence. Let me look for how I can interpret that thing. The child who you refuse to train is the one that will sell the house you built. Because if your child lacks emotional intelligence and you pass on wealth onto the child, that lack of emotional intelligence will make your child unable to manage that wealth. It will make them unable to manage that wealth. Let's run quickly. We want this class to be 1 hour. Now, I'm going to talk about neural encoding on emotional intelligence. Have you ever wondered why some people remain calm in stressful situations, while others react impulsively? The answer is in neural encoding, the process by which the brain stores and reinforces emotional process. Neural encoding is how the brain converts everyday experiences, thoughts, and emotions into a long-term neural patterns. Every emotion you feel, whether joy, fear, frustration, or love, creates and strengthens specific neural pathways. Over time, these pathways determine your emotional habits, influencing how you react in different situations. For example, a child that frequently experiences criticism, their brain encodes fear of failure. This child is always criticized. He will do this, they will say no. He will do this, they will say no. He will do this, they will say no. What is happening here? What is happening here? The brain takes it up and encodes fear of failure. This will make this child hesitant to take risk. On the other hand, if a child is encouraged and supported, their brain strengthens confidence and resilience pathways. So that is why you will see some children, they are able to get their confidence, their resilience. It is because of encoding. That is what is coded in there. That is the neural encoding. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand, manage, and express emotions effectively. And it is primarily shaped by 2 key brain regions. We have the amygdala and also the prefrontal cortex. The amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. Now, I don't want to use so much grammar here, but I will try as much as possible to make it clear. When we talk about the amygdala, now I'm talking about what happens in your brain as regards your emotion. What happens in your brain as regards your emotion? The amygdala. This is the brain emotional processing center. It is responsible for detecting threats and triggering immediate responses like fear and anger. If this part of the brain is left unchecked, it can lead to impulsive reactions. Just imagine now that you see a lion. The first thing you do that comes to you is you're afraid. And the next thing is, without you thinking, you start running, right? You don't need to start thinking. Fleeing is the first response. You think. You don't need to think. Fleeing is the first response you will give. And this is because the amygdala does not think. It's not the thinking brain. No, it doesn't think. So let us tone it down to our emotions. Imagine a child gets teased on the playground, and instead of responding calmly, they explode in anger, scream, and even hit. This happens because the amygdala detects that teasing as a threat. The amygdala detects that teasing as a threat and reacts instantly. before the logical part of the brain, that is the prefrontal part, can step in. The amygdala has already acted. It doesn't think. It doesn't wait. You don't think before you breathe, do you? It doesn't. It doesn't. So you just react. The child starts throwing tantrums because the child has seen teasing as a threat. Another example I will give on this is a child is about to perform on a stage, and the child feels the heart racing and the palms sweating. This happens, right? Even to adults, right? It happens. You see the child, your heart starts raising. They're about to call you up stage. And yes, it is the amygdala that senses fear. What do you think is happening? Fear of failure, fear of rejection. If this is not well managed, that child may freeze or even refuse going upstage. And what do we do to our children when this happens? We shout on them. We compare them. Did you see ABCD? Are they not on that same stage? Do they have 2 heads? We lack knowledge. We are delusioned of knowledge. You should know that the reason why this child is doing this is because your child is afraid. Yes, the child is able to say all the things so to you at all. Now go upstage and say it. It's a problem. Fear. Fear. Fear of criticism. Fear of rejection. Fear of failure. I may forget my line. I don't want to go up there. Fear. Fear. And now when we now shout on them, even as they're experiencing that, when we compare them, how does this help our children? It should have been better. That will help our children recognize their fear. Teach them to deal with emotions and remind them of their strengths. Tell them that as they are going upstage, everyone they see in that hall is rooting for them. We are all your fans. We are all there rooting for you. And please, even before those days, stop it. Stop shouting on your children for every mistake they do. Nobody wanted to be shouted at. You have done this so much that your child is afraid of mistakes. And because they're afraid of mistakes, you expect them to go upstage and go and make mistake there so that you can hit them again? Really? You have programmed fear in them. They won't. What is science saying about this part of the brain? Daniel Goleman is a scientist who popularized emotional intelligence. He calls this part of the brain, the amygdala, he calls it the emotional alarm system. And he said that if this part of the brain is not regulated, it can override rational thinking, leading to impulsive and irrational behavior. And studies also show that self-awareness plays critical role in calming down the amygdala, allowing better decision-making and emotional control. Now, let's talk about the prefrontal cortex. We have 8 more minutes. I just hope we will finish up. This is the brain that is responsible for rational thinking. It is responsible for emotional regulation, decision-making, and impulse control. A well-developed prefrontal cortex helps you to pause and choose a better emotional response instead of reacting impulsively. So when that thing happens, the amygdala picked it up. They are supposed to work hand in hand. That time they are pausing. That time you are pausing. That is when that's your critical brain. Your rational brain is making connection with the amygdala. That what should we do? Okay, if we shout now, will that solve the problem? This child just made a mistake. Okay, but if I hit this child now, will this child not learn that it is through hitting that you can make people do the right thing? Yeah. So what can I do? Do I need to read a book? Do I need to take a course? so that I will know what the strategies I can. You can sit thinking, going upstairs instead of the shouting. Stop being delusional of knowledge. Stop it. How can we rewire our brain for emotional intelligence? How can we? The good news is that the brain is not fixed. There is something called neuroplasticity of the brain. That is the ability for the brain to, it can expand. It can expand in knowledge. So you can train your mind to improve on your emotional intelligence by creating and strengthening positive neural pathways. And this is how you can do that. Number one, practice self-awareness. Practice self-awareness. One of the ways you can do this is by constantly journaling. When you journal, see, if you don't journal, you cannot know yourself. If you do not journal, you cannot find yourself. When you journal, you are able to pay attention even to the emotions daily. You are able to track them. You ask yourself, why did I feel this way? What triggered that reaction? You understand? By the time you do this, you are able to create. You are able to curate emotional stability for yourself. Pay attention to your emotions before reacting. You are able to tell yourself, okay, this is the way I would have done it. When you start doing this, you will be able to start reinforcing the positive neural pathway. It is not easy, but it is doable. It is not easy. It takes how many years for your parents to encode those things in you? 25, 30, 20. It may take them 18 years, but even now, you have been living that pattern till now. Some of us are 40, living that pattern. It's encoded. Now you want to start on learning those processes. It is not a day job, but it is doable. But if you are consistent, if you make up your mind to do it, you can do it. Another way is emotional regulation techniques like deep breathing, mindfulness, and positive self-talk. This help calm the amygdala, reducing overreactions and increasing control. Then start reframing negative thoughts. You know those things. This child that is 2 years old is lying now. By the time this child gets to 20 years, who is telling you that? By the time he gets to 20 years, this child will start carrying gun. Yes, it is possible if you are not intentional. It is possible only if you are not intentional. It is lack of knowledge. If you are knowledge, in fact, it is in your shouting that you can even make that happen. Because shouting doesn't fix a thing. It fixes nothing. You need to go to the drawing board and look at that pattern that you don't want in your child and help your child. And you cannot even help your child if you don't connect with your child. And nobody connects with a child by nagging. You cannot connect with a child by beating the child. Take, for example, kidnappers or even people that harm children. They meet the children with all shades of smiling. Do you want sweet? Beautiful baby, how are you? I love this your hair. Then you see the children say, oh, that's what they do. But you, the parents, when you want to teach your child something, you need to teach your child, you start nagging. The child disconnects from the very first sentence you will say. And you say, you have been trying your best, they are not learning. They won't learn. They won't learn. Connect. It is not about the shouting. Shouting fixes nothing, please. It is not about the shouting. It is about the knowledge that you have, the strategies, the tools that you have. That is what can raise your children to become emotionally intelligent children. So reframe negative thought instead of thinking, I'm bad at this, because the truth is those negative thoughts are already encoded in us. I'm not talking from a place of perfection. I'm also one of you. I'm also working. That is why every year you see me take emotional intelligence course. I don't stop. I don't joke with it. For the past 4 years, I have been taking it, and I don't think I'm stopping it anytime soon. Reframe negative thoughts. Instead of thinking, I am bad at this, shift to, I am still learning. This rewires your brain to embrace growth rather than to fear failure. Model positive responses. Parents, educators, children nurturers. Children absorb emotions through mirror neurons, meaning they mimic how adults handle stress. They demonstrate calmness and problem solving the way you do. If you cannot manage your emotion, you cannot nurture a child to manage theirs. Consistency is key. The more you practice emotional regulation, the stronger those pathways will become. Over time, emotional intelligence will become second nature to you because your brain is like a muscle, like I explained earlier. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. And this is not a walk in the park, like I said earlier. It must be done intentionally, done with the right knowledge, and it is in when we are able to help ourselves that we can extend help to our children. Now, there is a flip to the coin. I have seen parents who are emotionally intelligent, but their children aren't. You can imagine, with everything we have said this evening, I'm now telling you now that you can be emotionally intelligent and your child will not be. Who are these categories of parents? They're in one WhatsApp group. It is maid that is raising their children. Yes. Yes. The busy mom gang. Mates are the ones raising the children. You are emotionally intelligent, but you are not available. You are not available. So your children environments, your children environment determines how they manage their emotions. We have generations where mothers are now full-blown career people. And children are now left to be parented by mates, by households. The children's brain soaks up the experiences in their environment. Your house-made emotional wound will become your child emotional prison. Your made emotional wound will become your child emotional prison. Your child will find themselves in. Did I say it is bad to have a career as a woman? No. I myself love to make money. Yes. I make money. I love to. But this pursuit should never require my children as a sacrificial lamb. There is need to prioritize what is most important in your life. Who are the people in your child's environment? Who are the people in your child's environment? I also want you to think of emotion as ripple of pound. Look at it. Emotions are contagious. One person's moment of frustration or happiness can ripple through the entire household. You come back from work, the whole house is in chaos because you don't want to see this there. Why is this hanging there? Why is the house scattered? Why is this? The whole house is in chaos. 2 minutes of you stepping in. Why now? Why? Then, as soon as you do that, the whole house is moody. Everybody is in a moody form. Everybody is sad. Nobody is happy. This is called emotional contagion because some emotions spread between people, especially within families. So imagine when you're frustrated and you act out this frustration in an unhealthy way. This makes your house unbearable for everyone. It has become custom in some houses, especially in the morning, when they are getting their kids ready for school. That is when you see most shouting, most people nagging every morning because they lack structure. It is that money they are looking for one leg of socks, one leg of shoe, the school tie, the blazer. They are everywhere. Then you get stressed and you pass all this stress to the children. So before your child gets into their learning space, you have already stressed them. Before they leave the house, They are already locked up for anything for that day. And you now wonder why they are low performing in school. You shout on a child from 6 a.m. till you drop them in school by 7:30 or thereabout. And you expect them to learn that day. Why now? Why do we do that? Why? Your child can't learn because their brain is shut down already from home. It is not about their teacher. It is about you. If you have to shout on your child every morning, if you get overwhelmed every morning, what your house need isn't a chaotic space. It is a structured one. Check it. Check the reasons you yell. It is either, like I said earlier, it is either because the children wake up late, you couldn't find this, their water bottle is there, where is this, where is that? That is why you shout in the morning. Why not structure those things? Why can't it be that once you come back from school, this is where you put your shoe, your tie, then create a structure to check it until the children make those things a habit. Children comes back from school, throw shoe downstairs, go upstairs, you see another leg. Then in one room, you see their tie, the other room, you see blazer. Then how do you expect everything to come up together in the morning? Those are the things we shout on. So the problem, even here, isn't the yelling. It is the fact that yelling is a tool of raising idiots. You want to raise idiots? Yell. Yelling is a tool of raising idiots. Yelling is a tool for raising idiots. If the parent yells in frustration, the child learns that mistakes bring punishment. Yeah. When your child makes a mistake and you yell, you shout on the child, the only thing your child learns, see all those you're hearing, the only one lesson your child learns, mistakes are punishment. Mistakes are punishment. Avoid mistakes. Don't make mistakes. Mistakes are punishment. That is what the only thing your child learned from all those your gra. Mistakes are punishment. And with that mindset in your child, that I've already told them to avoid mistakes because mistakes brings punishment. Do not make mistakes. Do not take risks. You may make mistake. Tell me, who succeeds with such mindset? Who succeeds with such mindset? If that was the mindset of Mark Zuckerberg, will he be the owner of Facebook today? Will he be? If that was the mindset of the person that invented the bulb, will he be able to invent it? We learned that he tried it 500 times before we have the bulb we have today. Is it 500 or 5,000? Either one. You can imagine you trying to do something 500. Let's even use 500 times. Is that a joke? It makes mistake. Go back. Resilience. Your child cannot invent anything because they are afraid to make a mistake. How do they become inventors? Nobody invents anything without making mistakes now. But we have taught them that when they make mistakes, they will be punished. We have taught them. We unintentionally set up children for failure. But if the parent takes a deep breath and says calmly, let's clean this together. Let's fix this together. They learn that problem solving and resilience, and this is great tools to raise children that will thrive. This is a great tool that raise children that impact their world. Do you know that no one builds wealth without solving problems? Check it. Check every wealthy people you know today. They are solving one problem or the other. We all say that Dangote is the giant of what? Is the richest man in Africa. Do you know how many problems he's solving? Is in the area of food. Now he has a refinery for fuel. Go and check. You will see that he's not just rich. He's not just wealthy. He's a problem solver. Bill Gates Look at, just check them. Mark Zuckerberg that I mentioned earlier, they are solving problems. Nobody impacts their world. Nobody creates wealth if they are not solving problems. So like I said you should make a list of all the wealthy people you know, and you will see that they are all solving one problem or the other. So wealth is created through problem-solving skills. So I beg you, my listeners, do not raise an idiot. Do not raise an idiot. A parent that acknowledges and guides their children's emotion raise emotionally secure and confident children. So what can I start doing today? What can I, we're coming to the end of this class now. We're already, how many minutes? Okay, we plan to spend 1 hour, but we may be taking some more, like 5 minutes time. We should have finished this class. Thank you. So what can I start doing today? What can you start doing today? Start by pausing before reacting to your child's mistakes and emotions. Try to wait for the prefrontal cortex and your amygdala to connect first. Your amygdala said, hey, see, this is a threat to this child that's just poured water now. This child is a threat, you know. There, let your pre-cortex brain tell amygdala, hold on, I know, we know. Now, what do we do? Now, what do we do? Yes, he has done this. Yes, there may be consequences to this, right? But how do I teach this child now so that this child can grow up and not make this mistake again? That's what to do. That's where you start from. That is where you start from. What lessons am I teaching right now? Ask yourself, do I need help? Some of us cannot ask for help. We are traumatized. That is trauma. We have been trained not to ask for help. You need help, but you cannot talk. You cannot ask anybody for help because you feel they will laugh at you. They will know that you don't know. Excuse me. Me, like this, I need help. And I'm not afraid to seek help. I need help. I'm not afraid to seek help. Whenever I'm stuck or I don't know what to do, I run to people that can help me. This is what is happening. How can I handle it? You cannot ask for help. You see people, you say, I'm even older than this one. So will I not go and be asking her how I will do this? Hey, please. Knowledge has nothing to do with age. Knowledge. If an 18-year-old owns that knowledge that you need, reach out for it. Reach out for it. And here are daily practices you can do to improve. Okay, another thing you can do is to join our accountability community. If you see on your screen now, you see a message scrolling talking about the Child Learning Hub. That is the Nurtured Mind Learning Hub. That's our Children Learning Hub. That is actually our vision to raise children who thrive in school in the 21st century. But you will see a WhatsApp number there. You see 2 WhatsApp number there. Please take any of these numbers and send a message to join our accountability community. The truth is, our parents' accountability community is free. It is absolutely free. And you cannot imagine the impact that is happening in that place. You cannot imagine the impact that is happening in that place. And even you cannot even imagine the impact that is coming. You cannot. So please, the first place you want to start is to join this place. You know why? Like I said earlier, I said to rewire this your brain that is already 40 years old and has been encoded in this way. Now you want to rewire that encoding. It is not a walk in the park. You need a strong accountability community. A place you can run to. And of people that shares similar values. It's not everybody you can talk about even the things we said here. Some people will tell you that Me, I can raise my child now without learning anything. Time shall tell if you can truly raise those children without knowledge. Time shall tell. We're no longer in the time that works. The time we are today, it doesn't work. So when you join this accountability community, it is free. But our child hub is not free. Our child hub is 100,000 naira per year and 10,000 naira per month. The truth is that the webinar we're having today is meant for the children of the parents of the children in our hub, but we have decided to extend it to a larger audience. Please share this link. People can still catch replay with this link so that people can understand, can learn the things that have been shared here today. Read. Read extensively. In fact, read as if your life depends on it, because it actually does. Read. 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 Read extensively. Another thing you need to do to grow your emotional intelligence is, for you to do emotional intelligence courses. Like I said earlier, I do this course every year. I go through emotional intelligence courses every year. For the past 4 years, I've not missed one. It is because I'm building myself. It is because I do not want to leave an inheritance which will mar my children. I do not want to be careless in that respect. I want to give the world children that will impact them, not children that will angrily scatter the whole country, not children that will angrily anger dwells in the heart of fools. Don't raise a fool. Don't raise a fool. What legacy are you leaving behind? What legacy are you leaving behind? Identify your personal triggers and work on them consciously. Our great tools for self-awareness is journaling. Journal. Write that thing that triggers you today, tomorrow, next tomorrow. Write it. As you are writing it, you are processing them in your thoughts. You are finding a better way to react the next time this same thing happens. You are re-encoding. You are re-encoding. So all those times you used to say, it is the pupils in my class that are making me yell. It is your child that is making, no one is making you yell. You chose to yell. It is a choice. It is a choice. However, I have exposed you to why you are making those choices today. Because those choices are coming from the encoding in your brain. So you already know that if you want to change those things, you need to re-encode those things in your brain. You need it. So journal every day. We have journals in our cellar. I don't know, I can share it in the community later today. You will see it's just 1,000 naira. In fact, you can even customize, you can ask that we customize your journal for you. You print it out, it's soft copy. We send it to you, you print it out. The one that is already there is 1,000 naira. The customized copy is 5,000 naira because that one has to do with what you want us to put in the journal. So it's 5,000 naira. If you want, you please chat up with the admins. All right? So, even in our academy, it is number one thing. As soon as you register your child like this, your child gets our journal, although for them it is free. And you know what? We owe the children. As I am here with you now, the children are already sending in their journal for today. They are already sending in their journal for today because I know that self-awareness is critical. If the child does not know who he or she is, they will struggle. They will struggle. Know who you are. Meet the real you. Meet you. Meet the real you. Do not forget that you have been programmed already to do the things you do now, the way you do them. What this class is teaching you is how to reprogram yourself. If you did not journal, how do you know who you are? How do you know the habits you have and where you are coming from? You need a journal. Check our Stellar store for that. Reframing fear. You need to start working on your fear. At the root of your emotional instability, at the root is fear. If you do not deal with it, you won't get the results you need to get. It is time for you to start naming your fear and start dealing with them. Instead of, what if my child fails? Ask, what can my child learn from this experience? Model emotional intelligence. We have said children mirror what they see, not just what they hear. In fact, little of what they hear, they always do what they see all the time. If you want an emotionally intelligent child, be an emotionally intelligent parent. Create a home where feelings are acknowledged and discussed rather than suppressed. Your child's future emotional health starts with you today. Close your eyes now. Picture your child at 30 years old. Are they confident? Are they emotionally stable? Do they know how to navigate life, ups and downs, with resilience? Now ask yourself, what parent do I need to be today to make that vision a reality? As we conclude this session, it is my hope that I did not ruffle on any of you too much. I promise that when we are done, we will all be okay. And I believe that we are all okay now. Thank you for being here with me. And I'd like to take some questions, if there is any. I will put a link right in the chat box. If you, just hold on for me, please. If you want to come up to ask a question or say something to us, please click on that link. I will see you right here and bring you up on board so you can ask your question. Thank you so much for your time here. Anybody coming up? Question time. Question time. We will give about just 2 minutes to see if anyone will come up. If no one comes up, then we are done with this class. Please, can somebody confirm if this link is showing on our YouTube? If the link I sent is showing on the YouTube? Okay. Okay, it's showing, I can see it. Okay, since we don't have anybody coming up, we will have to call it a day. Thank you very much and do have an amazing evening. Bye.